I pulled into the driveway that Wednesday evening in March around 6, just like any other night. My daughter Emma was curled up on the couch watching cartoons when I walked through the door. The house felt normal, warm, safe. I called out for Jessica, but silence answered back. That is when I noticed our bedroom door slightly open the closet, gaping wide hangers bare where her clothes used to hang. Her navy blue suitcase was gone from the corner. No note on the counter, no text on my phone, no explanation whatsoever. Just empty space where my wife used to be. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you have ever experienced someone disappearing from your life without warning, hit that like button and subscribe, because what I discovered in the days that followed completely turned my world upside down. Trust me, you will want to hear how this unfolds. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and dialed Jessica's number. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. I tried again, same result. I sent a text asking where she was watching the screen as it showed delivered but not read. My heart was pounding in my chest as I walked back into the living room where Emma sat innocently watching her show. I knelt down beside the couch trying to keep my voice steady. "Sweetie, do you know where Mommy went?" Emma looked up at me with those big 6-year-old eyes and shrugged. "I do not know, Daddy. Mommy said she had to go somewhere for a little while." "When did Mommy say that this afternoon when I got home from school?" I forced a smile and kissed her forehead, but inside my chest was tightening. I stood up and walked to the kitchen window looking out at the driveway. Jessica's white Honda was gone. She had actually driven away. This was not some misunderstanding or quick errand. She had packed a bag and left. I tried to think rationally. Maybe she needed some space. Just last week we had a small argument about vacation plans. I had been swamped with work at the accounting firm in Denver, and Jessica wanted to take a trip. But we had talked through it. We had resolved it. At least I thought we had. Maybe her mother was sick. Patricia lived down in Arizona, and Jessica was close with her. But would not she have told me if there was an emergency? I dialed Patricia's number, my fingers fumbling with the buttons. "Hello, Christoph. How are you doing? Hi, Patricia. Is Jessica there with you by any chance?" There was a pause. "No, honey, she is not here. Is everything okay?" I lied smoothly. "Yeah, everything is fine. Just checking in. Talk soon." I hung up and immediately called Jessica's sister Amanda in Fort Collins. She had not heard from Jessica either. The knot in my stomach grew tighter. That evening dragged on like torture. I made dinner for Emma, though I could barely focus enough to slap together a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Emma kept asking when Mommy would be home, and I kept telling her soon, knowing I had no idea if that was true. After I tucked Emma into bed and read her favorite story about the princess and the dragon, I sat alone in our darkened living room. I sent another text to Jessica. "Jessica, I am getting worried. Where are you? Are you okay?" The message stayed on delivered. I called one more time. It went straight to voicemail. I lay in bed that night staring at the empty pillow beside me, the sheets cold where Jessica should have been. 1,000 scenarios ran through my mind. Had there been an accident? Was she hurt somewhere? Had someone taken her? Or had she simply chosen to leave? I decided that if I did not hear from her by morning, I would call the police. Thursday morning came too fast. I barely slept 3 hours. Emma needed to get ready for school, and I had to pretend everything was normal even though my wife had vanished. Emma asked where Mommy was, and I told her Mommy was still busy with something important. The lie tasted bitter. I called my boss and took the day off work. After dropping Emma at school, I drove back home with a growing sense of dread. Something was very wrong, and I needed answers. I went straight to our bedroom and started searching for clues. Opening Jessica's side of the closet confirmed what I already knew. She had taken a lot of clothes, not just an outfit or two for a quick overnight trip. This looked like she had packed for at least a week, maybe more. Jeans, sweaters, her favorite dresses, even her running shoes were gone. I sat down at her desk and opened her laptop. I knew her password. We had always been open with each other, so I thought. I logged into her email account and started scrolling through recent messages. That is when I found it. A confirmation email from a hotel in Boulder, Colorado, sent 3 days ago. Reservation for 1 person. 5 nights. My stomach dropped. Jessica had planned this. This was not some spontaneous decision made in a moment of emotion. She had booked a hotel, packed her bags, and calculated exactly when she would leave. She had done all of this without saying a single word to me. I felt sick, betrayed, angry, confused. I kept digging through her browser history and found searches for how to take a break from marriage and signs you need time apart from your spouse. Each search felt like another stab to my chest. In her desk drawer, I found a handwritten list in her neat cursive. Clothes to pack, toiletries, laptop charger, books. It was just a packing checklist, nothing more. No letter, no explanation. Just a list of items to bring on her secret getaway. Then I made a mistake. Or maybe it was not a mistake. Maybe I needed to know. I opened Facebook on her laptop. She was still logged in. I clicked on her messages and saw a conversation with someone named Derek. The name sounded familiar. I scrolled up and realized this was Derek from her college days. They had dated briefly before Jessica and I met. The messages went back 2 months. 2 months. They had been talking for 2 months and I had no idea. I started reading. Derek had reached out first, asking how life was treating her, innocent enough. But then the conversations grew longer, more personal. Jessica told Derek about feeling lonely, about how I was always working late, about how she felt invisible in her own marriage. The most recent message was from 3 days ago. Derek wrote, "So have you decided yet?" Jessica replied, "I need time to think. I am going to go away by myself for a while." Derek responded, "Okay, I am here if you need me." My hands clenched into fists. Jessica had been confiding in another man, an ex-boyfriend, someone who lived in Boulder according to his profile. The same city where she had booked a hotel. I felt rage bubbling up inside me. Not just anger, but a deep, cutting sense of betrayal. Jessica had not come to me with her problems. She had not tried to work things out. She had gone to Derek. She had packed her bags. She had left our daughter without a word. The next 2 days were a blur. I went through the motions of taking care of Emma, picking her up from school, making dinner, helping with homework. But inside I was dying. Emma kept asking for her mother, and on Thursday night she started crying. "Daddy, why does not Mommy call me?" I held her tight, my own tears threatening to spill over. "I do not know, baby, but Mommy loves you so much." That night, after Emma fell asleep, I typed out a long message to Jessica. "Jessica, I know you are in Boulder. I know you need time, but please, at least answer me. Emma is crying for her mother every day. If you have a problem with me, we can talk about it. But do not just disappear like this. Do not do this to our daughter." I hit send and watched the message sit there unread. I felt desperate, angry, heartbroken, all at once. Saturday morning arrived. 5 days since Jessica had walked out of our lives. I was making breakfast for Emma. Scrambled eggs and toast, trying to keep some sense of normalcy in our routine. Emma was coloring at the kitchen table, humming a song from school. Then my phone buzzed. My heart stopped. I grabbed it and saw Jessica's name on the screen. A text message. Finally. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The message read, "Christoph, I have been doing a lot of thinking these past few days. I feel like I have lost myself in this marriage. You are so focused on your career that you do not have time for me anymore. I feel lonely in my own home. I reconnected with Derek, someone who used to understand me. I think we need to live separately for a while so I can figure out who I am again. I will come by next week to pick up more of my things. I need more time to think about our future." I read it 3 times. Each word felt like a slap across my face. There was no apology, no mention of Emma, no acknowledgement of the pain she had caused. It was all about her feelings, her needs, her journey to find herself. And Derek. She had actually mentioned him by name, the man she had been talking to behind my back. I set the phone down on the counter and gripped the edge of the sink. Emma looked up from her coloring. "Daddy, are you okay?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, sweetie, Daddy is just fine." But I was not fine. I was furious. Not the hot explosive kind of fury, but the cold, calculated kind that comes when you finally see the truth clearly. Jessica had not just left. She had planned this. She had emotionally checked out months ago. She had sought comfort in another man instead of fighting for our marriage. And now she wanted me to just wait around while she figured out what she wanted, as if I were some backup plan she could return to whenever she felt like it. No, I was done being passive. I was done being the understanding husband who waited patiently while his wife decided whether or not she wanted to be married. After Emma went to her room to play, I sat down at the kitchen table with my phone and searched for divorce attorneys in Denver. I found one with excellent reviews, a man named Mr. Harrison, who specialized in family law. I sent him an email requesting a consultation for Monday morning. Then I typed a response to Jessica. I kept it short and direct. "Jessica, I received your message. I understand you want time to yourself, but leaving without a word and abandoning our daughter is not something I can accept. I have tried my best in this marriage and I have no regrets about that. If you feel Derek understands you better than I do, that is your choice to make. I will be contacting a lawyer about divorce and custody arrangements. I will make sure Emma has a stable and loving home, with or without you." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. For the first time in 5 days, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I was not going to beg. I was not going to chase. I was going to stand up for myself and for my daughter. On Monday morning, I met with Mr. Harrison at his office downtown. He was a tall man in his 50s with graying hair and a calm demeanor that immediately put me at ease. I showed him the text messages, the email confirmations from the hotel, the Facebook conversations with Derek. He nodded as he reviewed everything. "Mr. Christoph, given that your wife voluntarily left the family home and failed to fulfill her parental responsibilities, you have a strong case for primary custody. Document everything. Keep records of when she contacts you and when she does not. This will be important in court." I left his office feeling more in control than I had in days. I was not a victim in this situation. I was a father protecting his child. The following week, Jessica came to the house to pick up more of her belongings. I made sure I was not home. I had a friend stay at the house to supervise and make sure she only took her personal items. She left a handwritten note on the kitchen counter. "I am sorry, but I need to do this for myself." I crumpled it up and threw it away. The divorce proceedings began in earnest. Jessica wanted joint custody, arguing that she deserved equal time with Emma. But Mr. Harrison presented the evidence. The 5 days she disappeared without contacting her daughter. The text messages that showed no concern for Emma's well-being. The hotel booking that proved premeditation. During the custody hearing, the judge listened carefully to both sides. Jessica tried to explain that she had been struggling with her mental health and needed space. But the judge was not sympathetic. "Mrs. Kristoff, while I understand that everyone needs time to themselves, occasionally, you left your 6-year-old daughter without explanation for 5 days. That is not taking time for yourself. That is abandonment." The ruling came down in my favor. I was granted primary custody of Emma. Jessica would have visitation rights every other weekend, but Emma's home would be with me. When Mr. Harrison called to tell me the news, I felt tears sting my eyes. Not tears of anger or sadness, but tears of relief. Emma would be safe. She would be loved. She would have stability. That evening, I sat Emma down and explained in simple terms that Mommy and Daddy were going to live in different houses now, but both of us still loved her very much. She cried, and I held her until she fell asleep in my arms. The months that followed were not easy. Learning to be a single father while working full-time was exhausting. I had to figure out new routines, manage school drop-offs and pickups, cook meals beyond sandwiches, help with homework, and be both mom and dad to a little girl who was hurting. But slowly, we found our rhythm. 3 months after Jessica left, Emma and I were settling into our new normal. The house legally belonged to me now, after I bought out Jessica's share. I painted Emma's room her favorite color lavender, and we hung up fairy lights along the ceiling. We made Saturday mornings our special pancake time where we would cook together and make silly shapes with the batter. I joined a single-parent support group at the local community center. It was there that I met Marcus, another single dad whose wife had also left. Marcus became a good friend and a source of wisdom during the hardest moments. One evening, over coffee, Marcus told me something that stuck with me. "Kristoff, you do not have to be perfect, you just have to be present. That is what kids need. Someone who shows up." I took his advice to heart. I started leaving work on time instead of staying late. I put my phone away during dinner. I asked Emma about her day and actually listened to her answers. We went to the park on weekends. We visited the zoo. We did puzzles and read books and built blanket forts in the living room. All the things I had been too busy to do before. And something amazing happened. Emma started smiling more, laughing more. She was healing, and so was I. I realized that in trying so hard to provide for my family through my career, I had forgotten to actually be present with them. Jessica had been right about one thing. I had been too focused on work. But instead of talking to me about it, she had chosen to run away. That was her choice, and I could not change that. What I could change was how I showed up for my daughter every single day. Jessica did come to visit Emma every other weekend as the custody agreement stipulated. The first few visits were awkward. Emma was hesitant and Jessica seemed unsure of herself, but gradually they found a way to connect again. I never spoke badly about Jessica in front of Emma. Whatever issues Jessica and I had, Emma deserved to have a relationship with her mother. Through mutual friends, I heard that Jessica and Derek had tried dating for about 4 months after our separation, but it did not work out. They broke up, and Derek moved to California for a job. I did not feel any satisfaction hearing this news. I did not feel vindicated or glad that her plan had failed. I just felt neutral. What Jessica did with her life was no longer my concern. 6 months after that terrible Wednesday in March, I sat on our front porch one evening watching Emma play in the yard. The sun was setting behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Emma was chasing fireflies, her laughter floating through the air like music. I thought about everything that had happened. The shock of finding Jessica gone. The pain of those 5 days of silence. The anger when I read her text message. The determination to fight for my daughter. The slow, steady process of healing. And I realized something profound. Jessica leaving was not the end of my life. It was the beginning of a new chapter, a better chapter. Our marriage had been broken for a long time, but neither of us wanted to admit it. Jessica chose to escape. I chose to face reality and build something better. I learned that loving someone does not mean accepting whatever they do to you. It does not mean waiting around while they figure out if you are good enough for them. Sometimes loving yourself means letting go of people who do not value you. I also learned how to be a better father, how to be present, how to listen, how to show up even when I am tired or stressed or overwhelmed. Emma deserved that. She deserved a parent who chose her every single day. The following weekend, Emma and I went hiking in Rocky Mountains National Park. It was a beautiful September morning, cool and crisp with the smell of pine in the air. We packed sandwiches and water bottles and hit the trail early. As we climbed higher, Emma ran ahead on the path, her ponytail bouncing with each step. She turned back to me with the biggest smile. "Daddy, we are happy now, right?" I caught up to her and squeezed her hand. "We have always been happy, sweetie. We just appreciate it more now." She seemed satisfied with that answer and skipped ahead, humming to herself. I watched her go, this resilient little person who had been through so much, but still found joy in chasing butterflies and climbing mountains. She was going to be okay, better than okay. And so was I. Standing there on that mountain trail with the sun on my face and my daughter's laughter in my ears, I understood something that had taken me months to figure out. Sometimes life has to take away what we think we need in order to show us what we truly deserve. Jessica's disappearance had felt like the worst thing that could ever happen to me. But in reality, it was the push I needed to become the person I was meant to be. A better father. A stronger man. Someone who did not settle for being treated as an afterthought. I had spent so much energy trying to hold together a marriage that was already falling apart. I had ignored the signs. I had made excuses. I had convinced myself that if I just worked harder, earned more money, provided a better life, everything would be okay. But that was never the problem. The problem was that Jessica and I had grown into different people who wanted different things. And instead of being honest about that, we had both pretended everything was fine until it was not. Her way of dealing with it was to run. My way was to fight for what mattered. And what mattered most was Emma. As we reached the summit of the trail and looked out over the valley below, Emma turned to me with serious eyes. "Daddy, do you think Mommy will ever come back to live with us?" I knelt down so we were at eye level. "No, baby. Mommy and I are going to live in different houses from now on, but that does not mean either of us loves you any less. You get to have 2 homes now, 2 bedrooms, 2 sets of toys, double the birthday celebrations." She thought about this for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, as long as you are always here." "I will always be here, Emma. Always." She hugged me tight and we sat together on a flat rock eating our sandwiches and watching hawks circle in the sky above us. Life was different now. Not worse, not better, just different. And I had made peace with that. That evening, after we got home and I tucked Emma into bed, I sat in the living room with a cup of tea and thought about what I would tell someone else going through what I had experienced. I would tell them that betrayal hurts, that being abandoned by someone you loved cuts deep, that there will be nights when you cannot sleep and mornings when you do not want to get out of bed. But I would also tell them that you are stronger than you think, that you can survive what feels unsurvivable, that choosing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. I would tell them that children are resilient, that with love and stability and presence they can heal from almost anything. And I would tell them that sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is leave, because their absence creates space for you to become who you were always meant to be. I do not hate Jessica. I do not wish bad things for her. I hope she finds whatever it is she is looking for. But I also know that I am exactly where I am supposed to be, in this house, with this incredible little girl, living this life that I had to fight to keep. And I realized one final truth as I sat there in the quiet darkness with only the sound of the clock ticking on the wall. Sometimes a person's disappearance is not a loss. It is a gift, the gift of freedom, the gift of clarity, the gift of knowing your own worth. Jessica packed a bag and ghosted us for 5 days. Her text message revealed that she had been planning her exit, that she had been confiding in another man, that she valued her own journey of self-discovery more than her commitment to our family. But what her actions truly revealed was that I deserved better. Emma deserved better. And we were going to be just fine without her. So, if you are out there right now dealing with someone who disappeared from your life, someone who chose to walk away without explanation or apology, I want you to know something. It is not your fault. You did not deserve it. And you are going to survive it. Take care of yourself. Show up for the people who need you. Fight for what matters. And know that on the other side of this pain is a life that is authentically yours. A life where you do not have to beg anyone to choose you because you have already chosen yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had someone close to you just disappear without warning? How did you handle it? What did you learn from the experience? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it brings you some comfort if you are going through something similar. Remember that you are not alone, and better days are coming. Take care of yourself out there, and I will see you in the next one.